Is Dave going to practice today?
David? Yes, he'll be out there today.
What's the plan for him as he acclimates back to the field here?
I think it's something that we'll just take day by day. Today's practice is primarily a walkthrough. We will have a short individual period, but for the most part, it's more of an above-the-neck type day.
Is that because of the short week next week that we're just planning ahead?
I mean, it's a accumulation of everything, you know, always trying to keep your pulse on the team in terms of where we are health-wise. So that was just the decision that we made for this week. I mean, our sole focus is Washington, period.
What do you think Whitney Merciless can give you?
Well, nothing's official, Rob. So until then, I'm not going to say much about it.
But it will become official at some point.
We shall see.
Do you have a feel for Preston Smith at this point as to whether he can play this week?
Yeah, I think it's one of those deals that we're going to give him the week and see where he ends up, and certainly we're hopeful to have him. He's a big part of our defense, but I know he's motivated to want to get out there, and he's done such a great job. He's been physical, he's been disruptive, both in the run and the pass game. So he's provided great leadership out there, and so certainly we would love to have him back, but we'll see as the week plays out.
Back to Dave, I realize there's a lot of things in place, got to get comfortable and shake off a lot of rust, but just I guess from a conditioning perspective, how is he? I realize there's nothing like football shape, but is he able to stay in good shape through all this?
Oh yeah, I think so. I think he's been putting in the work. You guys see him out there every day, just grinding with Nate over on the sidelines. He's been doing a great job in the weight room with Giz, and you know, he's a pro's pro, so he's always taking care of himself. I think he's in pretty good shape.
Hey Matt, let's try Rob's question this way. You lost Sedarius for the year. You lost Chauncey. You don't know what's up with Preston. I know you like the guys you have on the roster, but could you guys use some help at that position right now?
I think you're always looking for help, and I know nothing's concrete in terms of Z, for the year, but. Yeah, you're always looking to upgrade your football team, and I know Goody is constantly looking at every available option out there for us, and if an opportunity presents itself, I know he'll jump at it.
What does that mean to you as a coach? I know there have been times for those of us that have been here longer than you where those types of moves, it was just promote the next young guy and count on him to kind of step into that role. What does it mean to you as a coach to know that the personnel department is maybe being a little more aggressive than things have been in the past?
Oh, it makes you feel great as a coach because ultimately we're as good as many times as our players are able to go out there and perform, and the more great players you have, the better the opportunity that you have is to win football games, and that's what we're all here for. And but I got a lot of confidence in our scouting department, starting and led by the leadership of Goody and just his ability to evaluate players and not only find the right skill set, but the right kind of people to come in our organization and be great team members as well.
Is that a challenge, Matt, when you're bringing in a guy into the locker room 6-7 weeks into the season? Is that
Yeah, I think it's always something that you need to consider, and I think our guys do a great job of that.
Matt, we're so used to seeing Aaron's accuracy so on point, no matter where he's throwing on the field. That when he misses a few, it's kind of jarring. He's missed a few deep balls this year. He missed one, obviously, to Allen Sunday. Is that at all a concern, Aaron's deep throwing?
No, I think he's been awesome. You know, not all those when they miss are always, on him either. So it takes everybody, and whether it's, having to move in the pocket, whether it's a guy, and I'm not pinpointing that exact case, but when you look back, the tendency is, and we always stress to, whether it's receiver, tight end, running back, whoever it may be, when you look back for the ball, you got to really accentuate your arm pump, because the natural tendency for anybody is that you tend to slow down. So you just got to make sure that our guys are keeping their speed up, but that's not something I'm concerned about.
he's tended to overthrow when he has missed deep this season. In general, with a quarterback that might be 37 years old, is that something that can start to decline, the deep ball throwing?
Yeah, I don't see any decline in his arm talent and in his ability to throw accurately. I mean, there's so many passes that he puts where guys can, whether it's a crossing route, wherever it may be, where guys don't even break stride. I just watched one from earlier this season when he hit Devontae on a big 3rd and long versus Detroit on a double move down the sideline, and Tay didn't even break stride. So I think, he's as accurate as any quarterback that I've ever been around. And I think, if you look at it all time, he's got to be right there, if not at the top.
With the schedule the way it's lined up the way it is, you're coming off a divisional game on the road. You have Kansas City and Arizona coming up. It's certainly tempting to think of this as maybe like a potential trap game. How do you kind of make sure that doesn't happen to you?
Just the same way we approach it every week. You can't take anything for granted in this league. I think this is a really good football team that we're about to play. All you got to do is look at what they were able to do, and I know there's 60 minutes to a game, but I mean, they're beating KC 13-10 at the half, and you just look at the roster. There's talent up and down on both sides of the ball, and so we have got to prepare like we do every week. I said it earlier, our sole focus is on Washington. We know every game is a challenge in this league. I mean, most of these games are decided by a couple plays. So if you have your focus anywhere else, you're going to get beat.
What does, despite, like, even if he doesn't play this weekend, what does having a leader like David Bakhtiari back on the field do for the morale of the team, especially with all the injuries you guys have suffered lately?
Yeah, he prepares the right way each and every day. He has a great message for our guys. I think he leads in that room as good as anybody, and he's a great talent. So I think it definitely gives everybody a shot in the arm.
Matt, when Gutekunst brings a player to you that he wants to sign or offer, how much do you look into the personality aspect, or how much do you ask him about that in terms of fitting into the locker room?
Oh, I think that's a big part of it, especially as you get going into the season. And we all know that the teams that tend to be the most connected and the most player-led typically are your best teams. So I think that's a big part of it.
Do they usually have a pretty good background for you to know or to find out about the guy if you don't know him previously?
In terms of, yeah, I think our scouts do an unbelievable job and are very thorough. I mean, they go back and look at all their reports coming out of college, and then, there's a lot of friendships in this league that you tend to kind of lean on some of those in some of those times, and yeah, I think we get the adequate information.
Hey Matt, moving further down Rodgers' anatomy from Ryan's question about his arm, where do you think his legs are at for being 37? He obviously had the touchdown run, he had the run earlier in the game. And how does his ability with his legs, even at the ripe old age of 37, influence what you're able to do as a play caller?
Yeah, it definitely gives you a lot of flexibility, just like we've talked about with many of these quarterbacks. Anytime you have a guy that can create off schedule and move the sticks with his legs, that presents another challenge to the defense, just like Heineke is. I mean, he can move around, he can scramble, he can create off schedule, he can take off and he'll pull it and run. So anytime you have a guy like that, it just adds another dimension to your offense.
Is that not something you would expect from a guy at his age now, or is there something different about him? Or?
I'll be honest with you guys, I don't even think about his age. It just, to me, it hasn't shown. So, I think it's, if anything, his experience is such a benefit for us. I think he understands how to manipulate the pocket, how to get out of the pocket, and then when need be, he takes off and runs. And he was able to get an explosive run the other day, had a 16-yard run, and I think he's playing at an extremely high level.
Did he convince you to let him do a quarterback sneak after the previous administration? He would complain that he didn't get to do them? Or are you philosophically in favor of quarterback sneaks? What's the combination there?
Yeah, I think that's something that, as we're studying because most of those happen in short yardage. So as we're studying the short yardage tape, if you see opportunities for that, that's something that he and I talk about all the time. And so it just kind of came up in the game. I'm not going to give you the exact play call, but if it was there, you could take it. If not, we could get to something else. So, yeah, that's something that we're constantly evaluating. Certainly, if they got double mug or both backers walked up or they got both their interior D linemen in those A gaps, then we tend to not want to do those because it is tough. I think we saw it on the Monday night game the other night when all those gaps are filled. It can be difficult on the quarterback to gain, whether it's a half yard or yard. It's just it's all about the timing of them and the look that presents itself.
Matt, can I re-ask you about that touchdown play to Aaron Jones? I asked you about
Yeah,
that.
I totally botched that.
Well, it's this too. This thing doesn't-
I blacked out. I blacked out, guys.
So what I found unique about that play was that, the coverage and how they dropped to protect the end zone and how that opened up for, a check down pass, right? Was that a pretty special play?
Yeah, that was a great job. Ideally, we were running the ball pretty effectively, and we had like a little what we call crack seam to Allen, and they defended it well. They went to a single high look, and there was a middle safety there, and then Tay on the backside. We're going to go to him, and they had just had pretty decent coverage for the play. It's not necessarily what we want it for, but that's the look that presented itself. And our line did an unbelievable job, and Mercedes of giving Aaron time to work through his progression and survey the field. And then anytime you have a back as dangerous as our two backs, and you can hit them on checkdowns like that, that is such an added luxury that you have. And Aaron did a great job until he let up, but he got in the end zone, Aaron Jones that is. And but I was just happy to see that is a good lesson for all our guys. And you got to finish through the end zone. I think I want to say Zach Taylor talk about it one time. You got to finish through the letters and the logos. So that was a good teachable moment for everybody on our football team in terms of when they're taking the ball into the end zone, make sure you're finishing.
Going back to the QB sneak, is there anything analytically that, as you studied that play, that suggests that it's better to avoid the QB sneak and just hand off, or is that more personnel based than who you have on the field?
Well, I'll have to check with the stats guys in terms of what we should do there. But no, I think when you get the look for a QB sneak, they're pretty successful. It's just, what are you running against? There's a lot of times you see teams that will try to force it, and I never want to force that, because I think, number one, they're not as likely to succeed, but also I think it just puts added risk to your quarterback.
Washington's defensive line, that's a pretty strong front again for your guys, right?
You're talking about Washington's? Yeah, I mean they got creatures all along the defense line, 4 former first rounders. Then they got Ioannidis. Yeah, and I think that they're one of the top teams in the league in terms of getting pressure on the quarterback. And I think one of the misleading stats that everybody looks at is the number of sacks. They affect the quarterback time and time again. So we're going to have to do a great job up front. We're going to have to do a great job of just trying to keep them off balance with our run and pass, mixing up the style of passes that we do, and, just to try to alleviate their ability to tee off on the snap count, because if you do that against that group, you're going to be in for a long day.